Hello and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time tuning in, I am streaming this live to Twitch under the username willcall100, or under the username willcall to Twitch. I'm going to be uploading the local recording to YouTube under the username willcall100. So Twitch is willcall, YouTube is willcall100. In theory, they have links to each other in the bios. And today we're playing Shadow Empire. The run style that we're playing today was basically started by a poll on the subreddit. Today we're going to be playing by the rule set that I'm going to say is a computer needs its robot army. So we're going to be playing Republica DLC. We're going to be trying to get the syndicate computer up and running as soon as possible, and then transition very rapidly into trying to have a robot army. So we're risking a tech rush towards robots, autonomous troops, so we can have a computer and its robot army. So for that, let's get into start a new game. Let that load up, and then we'll talk about how we're going to set up the planet here. Okay, so planet class here. We're going to keep this large and supersized. This gives us plenty of time to sort of get into having a syndicate computer and play around with the robots. I'm going to keep the planet fairly boring. We're going to go Seth class here. So, desert planet, key characteristic is they don't have a drop of liquid water on their surface. It is rare, but possible they host alien biology with no water-based type of life. We're probably not expecting to see any life here. History class is I'm going to basically do my normal spread out with severe violence turned on. This prevents the neighbors from, on the whole, being very friendly, where you can basically diplomatically annex a bunch of them. And then I'm going to turn survival stress on, so we get lots of little zones instead of lots of big ones, hopefully. Here in the generation setting, again, we're mostly going to be doing sort of the basic stuff. Detailed planet generation. Fog of War is going to be complete. Because it's a desert planet, I really don't need to know the topography before we get into play. One human player, city-state start. We're going to start with militia only. The politics difficulty, because we're playing Republica DLC, I'm going to leave on regular. I haven't learned enough about the politics DLC necessarily to want to turn that up or turn that down. Story modules, we're just going to leave them all on. Syndicate computer, you can't get until you're tech level 5, so to enable getting transition from democracy into syndicate computer early on, I'm going to actually move on to tech level 5. I am going to keep the development speed set to slow. And then we have advanced politics, which is the Republican DLC turned on and the Air Force is turned on. Twitch chat is, hey, Will, this is what Reddit voted for? I'm just curious. Yes, this is what Reddit voted for. I don't have an easy way to show a screenshot of that, I suppose. But basically what was on the poll was autocracy, aristocracy, meritocracy, computer needs as a robot, which is the syndicate computer run, which is what we're going to be doing. That's the one that won the vote by net 17 points. So the next two closest were at 17. It was at 34. And then we had no vigilantes, no Batman, so leaning meritocracy, or no vigilantes dictator. Is a general rule. I think the computer needs its robots, obviously won by a lot. In fact, won by the next two closest combined at that point. Yeah, this is what the Reddit voted for. And then at organization level, we're going to stay only Supreme Council at the beginning and hard. So pretty much basic. So what people usually play is the basic settings here, except for the advanced tech start. Also, people normally play on normal. I'm playing on slow. One of the other reasons to do the advanced tech start here. The other way to rush to robots, which is what we're going to try to do, would be to turn the development speed up while running a lower tech speed, or tech level. That runs the risk of the AI getting to nukes fairly early, which is what I want to avoid, which is why we're doing slow and an advanced start. So that was development speed. So that's mainly affects the rate that bureaucracy plays out, which affects the discovery and the research rates of techs and new unit types and design updates. Also political power generation and card generation as well. So it mostly affects the politics side. It doesn't actually affect the industry side. So you can still build the industry up at the same rate. So basically we're starting tech level 5. So we're starting, instead of 9 or 10 techs, we're starting with 25. So we're starting farther into the game, but the game will be slower than normal. Although I normally play on slow, so it's the same speed as normal for me. Here on this planet, we got sort of an Earth normal gravity. It is a desert planet, so it's a bit hotter than normal. And yeah, pretty normal planet for a Seth class planet here. Geology, we've got 4% mountains, otherwise plains, because it's deserts, there's no water. And you can see the weather changing here through the seasons. So we got some fairly slow seasonal change, but the temperature is always relatively hot. So maybe in the tropics during the hottest seasons, we might see a little bit of effects on our troops. The better armor should actually mitigate the temperature on there. Although I suppose that means we're a little bit more likely to see sandy deserts in the center of the map. Biosphere, we are rolled up into Insidious here. Again, I see no necessarily reason to change this. This is an incapacitation hazard level, so this sort of thing, if your soldier has their spacesuit, a hole gets punched in their spacesuit, it's more likely to rapidly incapacitate them. This is not super lethal, so fighting won't necessarily be very vicious. You can definitely get ones that it's like hazard level is extreme, and you get a spacesuit rupture, and the characters are much likely to die. Although it is Insidious, so it has a habit of finding ways into armor anyway. So it's likely to cause problems, but the problems aren't necessarily severe. And then here's colonization. I'm going to re-roll this a couple times just to get us a decent initial population. This affects the number of ruins on the map, as well as I think the zones populated affects how many sort of ruined cities you have on the map. I'm looking for, let's say, let's see if I can get 1 billion to spawn on here. 1 billion plus. I'm only going to do up to like 10 rerolls before I just settle on something. There we go. There's 1 billion pops. So this is before the collapse. So Inisco here, Inisco C was colonized in this year. Received colonists for a little over 1,000 years before the Dissolution War. And then after, or as a side effect of the Dissolution War, that 1 billion pops has reduced down to about 5.5 million. And this will be settled in cities and as free folk out in the wilderness. Troops I don't think actually count against this 5.5 as far as the math it plays into. And if you want to read it out, you can read all this out. I'm not going to take the time. And then we have our final summary here. Again, not gonna spend too much time reading this out. And we are gonna, well, we're gonna start as a democracy here because that's the quickest way into a syndicate, computer syndicate run. Go ahead and go with the torch. And let's go greenish for unit color. Let's go green and blue. And then, yeah, do something like that. We're not going to be an emperor because, you know, we are going to be ruling a democracy. See if I can spell president right. And we are the Landalar Imperium. Let's drop the Imperium. Let's say it's Landalar. Landalar, and we are the president of Landalar. So now it's going to give us 3 choices, one after another, that starts our initial, or allows us to pick our initial political power bent. So the first one here is, are we going enforcement, government, or commerce? The syndicate computer is generally aligned with government, so it's easier to get if you have powerful government factions in your government. So we are going to go government. This one doesn't actually matter so much as far as the Republica DLC when it comes to, well, the syndicate government in this case. I'm going to go heart here, just because I frequently don't play heart. So I'm going to try to change things up and do something different. We did fist last time, didn't mind the time before last. And then we want to be democracy here. Syndicate computer is a derivative of democracy, so we want to start with democracy, because otherwise then we have to change it into democracy to get the syndicate computer. Easier just to start with it. Landalar preparing our first turn of play. Round 1, we suffer no losses nor many kills. We have 4 decisions. The previous president is now buried, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. It is now up to us to lead the Imperium to victory. President of Landalar, some subjects cheer your ascension, but not all. You will have to hail and address the Imperium as soon as possible. So this is our first Fate pack that we pulled. If we get a decent amount of mind, I might just pop Pacifist Scientist for the extra Fate points, because I don't mind lowering the mind. Got infiltration modules, which will actually be somewhat interesting to use early on. Normal pack here. So Team RB was asking a little while ago, what does playing on slow versus normal really do? One of the things it affects is how quickly your organizations generate new cards. I forget if slow is half speed or 10th speed. It's significantly slower. So we're going to have a lot less variety in cards to pick from necessarily at the beginning here. So Red Love wants to organize a party. We are going government and hearts. We'll allow it. Ascension speech. We are going heart, so I'm going to take the heart option. We can see what the balance is right here. I should have shown that before I clicked the last one. We're trying to go heart, so we'll bump heart some more.
We'll go.
New orgs. We'll come back to the decision. I usually do this based off of what we see our neighbors being. If we've got particularly hostile neighbors, I tend to go Military Research Council. If I've got lots of neighbors that can probably have diplomacy done with them, I tend to go Foreign Affairs. Else is Economic Council. It's usually the trifecta that goes on there. Zone decision. Charismatic Union Chief. We will ask the Union Chief to help reduce unrest. We got a pretty decent chance that's actually going to fail. Do I have any unrest right now? I have no unrest right now, so we'll just leave him to his own thing. Okay. So, because we have an advanced start, usually if you're doing a Tech 3 start, you start with just the hexes around your starting area. Because it's an advanced start, it has actually given us a little bit more space to play with right away. So we got non-aligned forces there. We have Marafel there, so we can potentially do diplomacy with them. Non-aligned. Through there. That's non-aligned. You're still non-aligned. And we have a territory. Don't know which type of territory. Territories could be slavers. Territories could be rogue AI. Territories could be mutants. Territories can be the arachnids, which will try to eat us. Okay, so we got 2 territories next to us and 1 we can do diplomacy with. So because I only have 1 that we can do diplomacy with, and it's a fairly small border, I'm not going to go Foreign Affairs first. Not knowing what type of territories these are, I'm not going to open up with them by panicking. Probably the good way to describe it. I was worried that these territories were like machine AI. Well, not necessarily machine AI, but like if they were arachnids or something like that, we probably want to go military right away. Slavers tend to be pretty aggressive. So I'm going to open up with the Economic Council here. And then we want to spread our guys out to protect our existing assets in the road. We ideally want to try to keep the neighbors 3 hexes away from the city, and probably about 3 hexes away from our asset perks. So we've got a couple assets here. We start with an airbase, which probably going to immediately just mothball. Don't need it. I don't usually use Air Force this early, but we start with an ice mine, a metal mine, and a rare metals mine. We'd like to keep all of those functioning. Can. We do start with a MG rifle. Leave that on the capital and move the rest of the guys out. Something like that. We are rapidly recruiting. I'm a little worried because again, we start with a lot of territory on an advanced start like this. I think I'm actually going to start off by calling up our governor. Allow supplying units if there's a shortfall. It doesn't really matter in the capital. Allow emergency food. And I'm actually going to double the normal recruitment rate right now, just so we can get our starting force larger. Let's go ahead and turn the colonist budget up, even though I'm not going to recruit them right away. I'm on it. So let's look at our starting cabinet. Well, starting personnel right now. So we've got an advisor who's not attached to anyone. Unless I have really good ones, I tend not to attach advisors to people. This guy is decent. There may be a chance, or maybe a possibility that we actually have him change roles later on. High Command, or Supreme Command Council. Really decent for a military commander. This won't be a bad job for him. And you're the Supreme Command Counselor. Okay. Not too terrible on incapacity, too. If we can get someone better, we might replace him. And then we usually, we start off with one reserve pool member. The reserve pool member isn't too bad. He's probably going to end up being the head of the economy. Okay. So we're starting off with 85 virtue. I think the 0.5 here is actually effectively turn 1 is actually an advance of 1 turn. So it has applied a 0.5 modifier on our base 85. Political system, we're trying to get into a syndicate democracy here. While we're in democracy, to do it, we have to have the syndicate faction needs a minimum 25% of the vote, and the need to have more rounds passed in the democratic system of 140 minus the faction attitude towards syndicate democracy. So right now, we're having a minus 35 on that, so it's actually 175 turns we need to wait to become have a syndicate democracy and have a syndicate computer. Probably right now, because our political party none of them are syndicate yet. Because we went government aligned, one of them is eventually going to become very, very favored for government. They will probably become syndicate aligned, and this number, the amount of turns we're going to have to wait is going to drop a lot. I suppose in here, I'm not, unlike the previous run where we were trying to go for militia laws, I'm not too worried about the laws at the beginning here. And then politics, again, we are trying to go syndicate democracy, so we can have the ever-present eye, repair bots, robotic accession, tech research speed 50% for the tech groups, engineering, machinery, automation, robotics, heavy machinery, data retrieval burden, our bureau, teacher bots, and logistical matrix is the 6 sort of feats we're going to go for. Depending on how long we spend in democracy, we may pick up some democracy or spoil democracy ones as well. Is there anything I want to build initially right now? So we should have enough workers. I wonder why some of the assets are showing that they didn't have enough workers. Let's see. We're not making enough food, so making more food is tempting. We're not making oil. Well, not making enough oil. So there's an argument to build out a scavenging, although that can probably be procrastinated on a little bit. Making plenty of metal, making rare, making... Okay. So the big thing I'm missing right now is more food. Yeah, so there's a tier 3 dome farm. They may set up another farm, which guess we won't necessarily need it. But we're pretty low on food. Do I splurge for another farm right now? That would cover the deficit. I'd have to artisanally make up 2 chains, but that's easy enough.
Understood.
And then this is our water mine. I'll put the farm on top of the water mine. Because honestly, if we lose the source of water to feed the farm, then we don't need the farm because things are going terribly. Okay. And then here, I've got open contact for majors, got proposed peace for minors. So if we get lucky, we will be able to propose peace with these guys. I'm seeing the difficulty is surprisingly high. So not knowing what type of neighbors these are. These guys are probably... They're probably raiders, or some variety on raider, which is why it's such a hard roll. They don't really want peace. Okay, let's with my current mind, I can dumpster mind. Let's dumpster mind.
Wilco.
That gives us 2 more fate points that I'm going to put into infiltration methods.
Wilco.
You won't necessarily have that every game. The fate points or the fate cards are randomized. You usually get 1 pull of 3 good ones, 1 bad one. The good ones cost fate points, the bad one provides fate points, but it costs you something to get it. Medal of Merit, probably hold into that until I do a Foreign Affairs Counselor. And you. Oh, and dropping the mine. Proposed peace, mine's associated with pacifism, so we weakened the pacifist elements in the government. So we've actually made proposed peace harder. And yeah, I think with that, we're going to go ahead and cycle our first turn here. Tech-wise, part of the goal of the quest, or part of my goal right now is to run down to robotic soldiers here as quickly as possible. So that means I need 1 more in machinery. I need 4 in automation, and then we can start discovering robotic soldiers. The other thing I'm probably going to want fairly early on is metal soil filtration and separatization. This is water into power. This is power into every material. Although I am starting with a metal and a rare metal mine, so I'm less in a rush for metal soil filtration. Also, if we're really going to lean into the robotic soldiers, I should run for heavy tech, high tech, which I don't need to discover anything or I don't have to research anything to discover. It's in the discovery pool. So the 3 things, other than running for robotic soldiers, that I'm interested in is here, here, and here. All are discoverable. So the only thing we're really beelining to is robotics. Don't see any volcanoes nearby. So probably for beelining to robotic soldier, we'll probably be looking for deep core early on here. Because the eco faction can only find these 2. Military can find these 2. Both of these would have been good to get as well. Okay. Let me stop yammering and actually get the first turn, 24-25 minutes done into the stream here. You will see what goes on in the borders. Right now we got a lot of territory and not enough militia to guard it all. So we're going to have to rapidly build up the professional troops to simply hold the border. Which is why I doubled the base recruitment rate. We'll also gain a little bit of information on our neighbors. I won't necessarily know what type of territories the territories are. The sooner I know, the sooner I can plan. Arachnids are definitely going to be hostile. Slavers are likely to be hostile. Nomads is a lot of RNG. Well, to be fair, slavers are a lot of RNG. The slavers throw the right events, you can be fairly friendly with them. We've already seen them online to take some territory. They're more likely to be a little random when it comes to the online. Round 2, we suffer no losses, nor many kills. We have 3 decisions. We discovered another water deposit. So, by default, unless you turn the option off, you have eras. I believe at the end of every era, you get 1 pull on the fate card packs. So we're in the time of bureaucracy. This one's expected to last for 24 turns. We're on the 2nd turn of it. And this is providing extra bureaucratic points, so extra BP, which gets added to all our orgs. We're slow. Again, we're playing on slow development speed, so bureaucratic points are effectively weaker. Is a good way to think about slow development speed. We need more of them to do what would otherwise be the same thing. Admin level has risen to level 5, which is kind of expected. We started an advanced start, the level 5 start. We got our first political card pack payout. Panzerhead. Most of these I don't think we're really going to be interacting with. We'll mostly not use these, I think. If we do get peace with the neighbor, the one minor nation will probably do offer protection. Oh, one thing I didn't look at the last turn, which we might as well look at now, is our current victory score overview. We are Landalar, so we're at the beginning of this turn, we are roughly in the middle of a pack of 6 of 11. So we're not doing the worst, we're not doing the better. No one's really had enough time to vary away from normal. Scoring here is 50% of victory score comes from planet, and it's based on what percentage of planet you have. So if you have 1% of the planet, you get half a victory point, effectively. Populace is all population that lives in cities. So free folk don't count for it, troops don't count for it. Free folk obviously can move into cities, or could be the product of people moving out of cities. If this does not sum up to 100, I don't think 33, 35, 30, 40s is obviously not going to be 100%. That means there are other miners out there that also have people that live in their cities. So, for example, Mirafell here is a miner. Mirafell's population counts against the population percentage because they'll still be living in the city. Budget analysis. Usually when it's just the Supreme Command Council, I will make the Supreme Command Council a little grumpy by taking some of his political power or bureaucratic power away and assigning it to whatever my other council is. I tend to like the Supreme Command Council being about 50-ish% as long as I can, but 67 is a little bit high. So basically split it 50-50 here.
Wilco.
The Eco Council is new, so it needs a director. This is one of the reasons I took a moment to look at my counselors, because if I had bad counselors, I might have tried to take some opportunity to get new ones for this decision. This person is decent. He will make a decent economic counselor, so you have the job. I only had one choice, but you have the job. And then Eco Council, early on here, do I have anything discovered? I do have stuff discovered. I don't want them working on what's discovered because it's all the non-binary text. It's all the linear text. The economic policies, and I'm going to leave those at 25%. And then I'm going to drag research down to effectively drag up discovery. So I'm basically doing, on the 50% I'm putting towards discovery and research, I'm slamming 80% into discovery, 10% into research. We can always call him up at the cost of 1 political power and change the balance on these later.
Yes, sir.
And this is to encourage him to find new things to research quicker. Because if we sort of hover over here, it'll give you an approximate on what the discovery cost and the research cost is in bureaucratic points. again, I don't remember if slow development speed is effectively doubling or halving these, but this is not showing the effect of slow on those costs. Okay, did we get any follow-up information on the neighbors? So we know you're minor. We know you're minor. So the territories are minor regimes, that they're minor regimes with no, that's the best way to describe it. No city to them. Pretty sure offer peace is still not going to be very valid, and offer production is going to be even harder. I'm going to use one of the spies here. We got about we got a 60+ chance of getting it off.
Yes.
And we failed to get it off. If we hadn't failed, the spy should provide us enough recon on the zone to know what type of regime it is, which is what I was trying to get out of that. Okay. And I don't quite have an ideal number, but we'll go ahead and raise my first brigade of light infantry. We've got more than 50%, so we can raise the brigade. On the next turn, we can start to spread them out to sort of secure more and more territory. And then, yeah, we went through all the cards, all the political cards that I want to do right now. So that's the second turn. Early on here, because again, we've got a lot of initial starting territory, we're going to sort of take the lumps where we get handed them. We're not going to be able to hold the entire front line here with, well, with 5 militia it would have been impossible. With 10 army units in a OHQ, it's probably still impossible to hold everything, especially if those are aggressive territories. And I don't have the information on that to know yet. Round 3, we have 5 decisions. Adventurers discover a special location. 3343. So 3343. So up there. That's a bit far out. What type of special location is it? Garbage belt. Okay. I would like to say yes. It may be hard to hold it. We got a faction candidate. We got a law vote. Marifel demands relations. Okay. Well, if they're going to ask for peace, I will accept. Marifel is concerned about the unclear relations between us. High Leader Marifel demands from this point forward that we respect each other's borders. Sure, if I can have 2 tiles on my border that are actually going to be stable, I'll take that right now.
Yes.
That was sort of a realpolitik decision. New commander for the 1st Light Infantry Brigade. Are any of these cards that I want to play? So, we got recruits, we got mercs. I can't afford the mercs, I can't afford the juniors. Trying to make sure I don't spend points I want to spend someplace else first. Let's grab both juniors.
Yes.
So the first one is this Camp 1 person. I would not be angry if they were to go serve in the army and have a bad day. You're a little bit better skilled, so we'll keep you actually in the reserve. Of those 2 choices, that one is the one I'd like for more important jobs. So yes, you get a command.
Copy that.
Honored with the trust, sir. And do we know which type of territories? Minor and minor. We still don't know. I am out of food. Oh dear. The Agridome is finished, though, so we should have more food coming in. Short run, that means I probably want to buy some food. Rare is still very valuable. Let's sell off some rares. Turn around and use that money to buy food.
Understood.
We're recruiting 1,000 a turn. We're going to use those thousands to reinforce our understrength units. I suspect we're not going to be able to hold that hex, but I'm going to try. We're going to say yes. This will give us some give us some more heart. If we succeed, it will cause our word score to go up. If we fail, it'll cause our word score to go down. This is a choice where if we'd said no, first it would give us enforcement, which we don't really want. But I think we would be avoiding losing the word score, because we didn't set out to make a promise. Rather, we're having one thrust upon us. So we're gonna accept yes, which means I could potentially fail it. Oh, I'm being offered another cannon. We'll accept this cannon as well. Yep. So if I raise another unit, this guy's gonna end up as a commander, so he can face the enemy. And we're going to enact compulsory education law. Sir, on the initiative of the Justice Knights, the Parliament is holding a vote whether to enact the compulsory education law. Everyone is required to be educated. The road to progress is through education. So, quality of life from education will be increased. New leaders will get extra academic skills, cost 7% of the remaining bureaucracy points, or a minimal cost of 60 or 26 BP. I'm not in a... Well, I'm not even necessarily in a position to stop this. Well, actually, I suppose I could stop this, because the sway effort to get the Justice Knights to say no is influence against. So it's just the first choice. But I don't want to spend 20 BP on stopping this. We could let this pass. Or 20 political power on stopping this.
Wilco.
Democracy increases, mind increases. That would be the main reason to be against it. Don't necessarily want more mind. Now, to hold that tile, I will probably want some roads out to it. I would like to hold on to those free folk places out there. And then I would also like to hold on to everything within 3 hexes of the SHQ. So right now I'm going to deploy like this. Again, don't know what these territories are, so I don't know how worried about them I should be yet. And we're going to continue deploying reinforcements until these units get to full size, and then once we get another half a brigade, we'll go deploy another brigade, just to hold everything. Cycling turn. This should be the first turn where we have food coming in from the farm. So we'll see if we're food positive this turn. If we're not, we'll have to keep selling stuff and buying food while I spend the time to upgrade it again. Okay. More movement from the territories. Our adventurers managed to hold. We may have failed the objective right then and there if they hadn't. It says killed 10 tanks. They were Marauder buggies. So they're actually armored recon cars, I'd probably describe. Lost 100 infantry in the exchange. It's round 4. Bureaucracy is continuing. We got an archaeological effort. Still don't know what type of minor regime. Still don't know what type of minor regime. Okay. Okay, so now that's probably enough information for me to determine what type of marauder regime or neighboring regime that is. These are mercanteers. So they're like pirates, but on land. Found the land pirates. Okay, so if we manage to keep this cordon hooked up, they will receive supplies. Can't run the dirt road any further at the moment. Okay, so we were food positive. 203 food was delivered from the zone, and only, what, 190 or 180 something went out. Okay. Although that's going to go up, so our consumption is going to go up. So we probably do want to continue expanding that farm. That is probably not enough. And that's with us actually getting 277 from it. Start of the turn. So let's queue up another upgrade. So I'm going to need 4 more machine parts. Everything else should be fairly easy to come by. So I'm going to artisanally produce 4 more machine parts.
Understood.
Not appreciative of the fact that we lost some territory down here to the non-aligned. The non-aligned are a little bit easier to deal with necessarily than the territory, because there's only going to be like one guy in here causing problems. We'll actually wait for him to get a little closer before I try to encircle him to get rid of him. And then I am going to go ahead and roll the archaeological attempt. So we've got a 26% chance of this succeeding. If it succeeds, we will know definitively whether we have an archaeological site or not.
Yes, sir.
It did not succeed, so we do not know. So it could be that we don't have one, or it could be that we have one and we didn't find it. If we succeed, it will either tell us we found it, or a success but no find means there's none to be found. Another thing to note is the 2 territories, and this is why I'm being a little cagey around the territories. The 2 territories we can never get peace with them, so we can never get them to respect our borders. So eventually they're going to move into our territory enough, and or we're going to take territory back from them enough, that they will get aggressive with us and they'll start something. The more they like us, the more they kind of respect our territory, but we're going to have to have enough guys to basically force them to respect the territorial orders. Which is one reason why that can often decline into war. There's also some like the arachnids that they're space spider bug monsters that eat meat, and humans are meat. So here we are, round 5. We have one decision, so fairly small set of decisions on this turn. Another archaeological effort to roll. They demand I hire their candidate. Well,
Yeah.
the worst case scenario is it could be someone I want to fire. That is actually a good candidate. I appreciate you providing me the candidate. Okay, so our units are all up to size. We do hold the the cordon out to the location so we can get the dirt road extended to you. I don't have enough for another unit. We will once again attempt another roll. Our probability of success actually went down. It's probably due to his happiness declining. Let's give him a bonus. Make him a little bit happier.
Yes.
Critical failure. Oh, well, that didn't work. Let's generate a little bit more money by selling off the rares.
Understood.
I'm going to play some of our cards on him. These are likely to fail.
Wilco.
Subpar success has an effect, but doesn't. Then
Wilco.
get that one off as well. Both of those should help keep him happy. Isn't going to help us with this roll.
Yes, sir.
No luck. We have a corporation now in our one zone, so we could talk to the CEO. Do I know what type of territory that is? I do not yet. Send a spy.
Yes.
Send another
Yes.
spy. That one succeeded. So next turn we should know how hostile a border that is. And I have enough political power. Let's try to meet the CEO.
Yes, sir.
That'll give us the opportunity to ask for a board member card. I tend to find those work both for the foreign affairs counselor, as well as they're decent for handing out to governors. Because governors do a decent number of charisma rolls. So workers hiring up to work on the projects. We got we failed a productivity roll here for construction, so we were delayed by half a turn. Okay, that's fine. Food's a little negative. Let's buy some food. Oh, that's sell. Buy food, not sell food. I'm willing to spend about 200 credits on food.
Understood.
Just to keep the food positive. Deficiting here is a little bit harder, but that might be due to the fact that we didn't have enough to do the construction. So we got a little bit of food malice. Well, debatable. We definitely... Well, also every turn we're recruiting more people, so we need more and more food. That's why we're upgrading the food location again. Okay, cycle the turn. Use a lot of political power that turn. We are playing on the largest map type, so these end turns may be a little long. It's not quite as convoluted as it might be on, say, a Oceania map, where the oceans can make the AI spend more time thinking about how they're going to move stuff from zone to zone. But still, as you can see, a lot of players. There's 10 other majors. I think there's like another 10 minor zones that probably have cities. And we have lots of probably other territories as well. Okay, around 6, we suffer no losses nor made any kills. We have 5 decisions. The militia decide to hold a parade. And the private sector has decided to build a ice mine out here. This is a desert, so I can imagine that ice is reasonably valuable. Mercanteers. Okay, so we got 2 batches of mercanteers. As far as territorial neighbors are concerned, not the worst. Not the worst. Next turn, I'll be able to raise up another brigade. I'm not too worried if this guy gets cut off temporarily. As far as demand, we have to hold the tile he's on for 3 more rounds. So honestly, at this point, because we fed him, we've provided food to him, he could probably be encircled and hold it himself for 3 turns. So we're probably not going to fill the demand. We got our meeting with the CEO. Got the law vote. Minor worker strike. We are democracy, so I'd like to pay them off. And we've got an eternity movement proposing a personal session. Okay, so we're looking... Probably want to take the positive... Actually, no, I can take the negative here, because I don't want merit, I don't want mind.
I'm on it.
That's an easy decision. Here, I'd like to take the middle option if I can afford to. For the festivities law. Sir, on the initiative of the Justice Knights, the Parliament is holding a vote on whether to enact the festivities law. The law will ensure that there are a number of days per year where the festivals will be organized. Population, work, and happiness is +1. 10% of the remaining credits, or the minimum cost of 40 credits a turn, will be spent to maintain the law. There's maybe an argument here that the funds are a little strict and I would prefer not to be spending the money. But I'd have to spend 20 political power. I'd have to spend more political power than I want to stop this. So this one is just... I don't want to spend the political power to prevent this from passing, so it's going to pass. Meeting with the CEO. I would like a board member spot.
Roger that.
And then I've got 2 that cost money. This is 200. This is 326. For my preferred choices. So let's see. I need to see how much money I have, or how much stuff I have. So I'm willing to sell all the rare metals that we can for that money.
Understood.
We're making water at a decent pace. Water actually still has some value. So I'm willing to sell water off. As the game goes on, I'm probably gonna find that water is gonna completely collapse in value. Either because the private sector, thinking it has value, builds enough water to provide water to the world's private sector, or because I set up water mining and I always like to overproduce water, so I'll end up driving it to 0. But for the moment, water has value, so let's sell it off for a decent chunk of change. And now I have enough for both, so boosting democracy. And I'm not going to splurge on the more valuable militia choice here. We're not going for a militia focus run this time. So eventually the militia is probably going to decline. So right now we've got a militia profile of 50%. And as the military builds up, the militancy in the zone is going to collapse. I just don't want to preemptively cause it to collapse. That's a good way to think about it.
Wilco.
There will be a time and a place for them to be removed from sort of power. Now is not that time. And that's my board member card. We're going to give the board member position to the director of the economic council, or not economic council, the governor.
Yes, sir.
So our governor is really happy because we've just given them a position on the corporate board. So you can see plus 10 charisma. That is useful for governors. That is useful for the foreign affairs counselor. They can also sometimes get a follow-up feat associated with that. And next turn, I should have enough recruits to deploy the 2nd Brigade. Looking at time, we're coming up on where I should put a part break in. Construction proceeded at speed. We haven't made up for the half a turn, so it's going to take one more turn to complete. Those are all the mines. The rare metal mine may be the first one to run out. Prospecting. We do not believe there's anything more to be prospected. Victory overview. We are Landalar. We've actually declined in comparison to everyone else. Probably because we lost a little bit of territory here and there. So we went from 6th to 7th. Still about middle of the pack. End the turn, and when we get to the end of watching the neighbors do their thing, we'll put the part break in. Nothing alarming yet. We're definitely in a situation if the Mercanteers decided to be an issue. The Mercanteers have enough quantity that they could sort of sneak through all the holes in our troops. Okay, the non-aligned being non-aligned. We'll be picking up next time on round 7. Over the end turn, we killed 5 infantry, 10 guns, 10 motors, and 10 tanks at the cost of no losses. We will have one decision at the beginning of the next turn, and the beginning of the next part. So if you're watching on YouTube, there will be another part of tomorrow. If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to go into the first of tonight's stream breaks. So I'll try to keep the break fairly short. So until next part, I'm going to wish you all the best of luck and a good time. Catch you all in the next part and our stream, and bye for now.